What's up, guys? It's your boy D Brooks. Come with another live stream, and today, man, I figured I'd give you guys an update. I wanted to go live real quick and give you guys an update on what's going on at the shop. We got some new equipment and also some updates on the Regal. So I don't know who's all interested in equipment for the shop or whatever, but I figured I'd share it with you guys. One of the things I did find out for those who are TIG welding, I know Mr. Random is TIG welding. Some of the other guys are interested in TIG welding. Right now, the Yes Welder is on sale. I put the link in the description, but it's like $150 off, and it's actually like even more discounted than it was last year. Last year it was like $7.99, and they had lowered the price, I guess, to $6.99. And right now on Amazon you can get an extra 140 off if you use the coupon on the Prime or whatever. So it ends up being like $559.99, something like that. So yeah, link is in the description on that. Also, that's the new equipment because you know, I wasn't able to do any aluminum welding, and I pretty much do all my own work. You know, thought about having some people do some aluminum welding for me, but I figure I'm gonna continue to do this kind of work, and it's just something that, you know, you keep investing into yourself and you get more skilled, you can help others and different things like that. That's more stuff we can do in house. Already have the argon, already have you know, the torches and different things like that. So adding this to my arsenal was going to be something I needed to do eventually anyways. You're going to be using a lot of aluminum in the process of like building a turbo car or whatever. So I'll probably end up selling my old TIG machine because this pretty much takes the place for it, but I wasn't able to do aluminum, and that's kind of where I've been at a standstill. I needed to do like my intake air temperature sensor. I needed to weld a bong in there for that. I kind of want to go back and weld all my hard pipes together, and I just want to get better at it. You know, I really enjoyed putting that stuff together, even though it didn't look the greatest. You know, I had fun with it. So this is the kind of stuff that, you know, I take pride in and have fun with. So it doesn't hurt to invest in yourself a little bit either. But yeah, that's something I wanted to share with you guys. Also picked up some filler rod, aluminum filler rod, because you obviously need that. I think it was like $20 or whatever. All this stuff is in the description. And then what else did I get? I got a manual boost controller. I haven't really used the manual boost controller before, so it'll be interesting to see how it works. But I gotta do a couple more things before I go to the tuner. So one of the things I have to do is I actually need to drill and tap my turbo housing for my boost reference for my wastegate. So I'm doing that, and while I'm doing that, I'm gonna probably plumb up the boost controller. You know what I'm saying? So if I can go ahead and do that, run the vacuum lines. Speaking of vacuum, I picked up a vacuum block. So the vacuum block is gonna help distribute the vacuum in a cleaner way without having a whole bunch of T's and different things like that. I didn't get a real expensive one. I think it was like, I'm gonna bring these up on the screen actually. I'm gonna bring these items up on the screen. But I think it was like $20 for the vacuum block. It had mixed reviews, so we'll see how it works out. But it wasn't a very expensive vacuum block. Let me see if I can pull this up without giving up my address and everything like that. So here, 1 second, guys. Probably should have had all this set up. Window capture, Chrome. Let's see. Yeah, so, all right. All right, so this is the, and I just purchased it today, obviously, but this is the vacuum block that I bought. So basically, I don't have to run a bunch of T's or whatever. I'm gonna put this on my firewall. Probably use these two holes up here in the front, and then, you know, I will use a T to off my boost. I mean, off my brake booster, more than likely. I'm gonna look more into plumbing it up later, but that'll be my initial like vacuum source, and then this will share, you know, ports for like my turbo, my dang on, what is it, my blow off valve and other things like that. So that's what I'm trying to do with this. But yeah, $24.99 if you got a turbo car, you can run one of these vacuum blocks, and you know, it'll help with distributing all your stuff or whatever like that. So what else? Let's see here. Oops. We got some comments over here. What's going on, Nicholas? I see you in the building. SSB, I see you in the building. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me pause this real quick. If you guys can hear and see me and clear, make sure y'all smash the like button. Put something in the comments. Let me know the stream is good to go. But yeah, man, the other thing that was like really crazy was like the manual boost controller. I mean, it's super simple looking. I'm gonna pull that up for you guys so you can see it. Okay. Give me 1 second, guys. Having a little bit of technical difficulties. I don't use OBS very often. I usually use StreamYard, but I always switch things up, man. I'm always switching things up. So let's see here. We got the window. Bring this up. All right, boom. Yeah, that's it right there. All right, so this is the manual boost controller that I'm going with, guys. $23.99. I know it's super simple. I probably could have made this myself, but it's got like a ball and spring in it. That's pretty much how it's built, and it's I think it's 1/8 MPT drilled. So let's see if we can bring up this in a bigger picture. This pretty much tells you how to plumb it if you want to use it for like the wastegate boost controller, and then your intake manifold or your vacuum manifold or whatever you want to call it. You can run it off of that. It's in between, and then it goes to your wastegate, or you can run it off the housing of the turbo. That's how I'm going to do it. Most resistant to spiking. I'm going to drill and tap the housing on my turbo and run this right to the wastegate. So that's how I plan on doing it on this side. Hold on 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna close the door real quick. Swaps, what's going on? Jeremiah, what's going on? Nick had a question. He says, Had a question for a G-Body 6.0 LS swap carb. What do I need to do for a LS fuel swap? What do I need to do for a fuel setup? Are you using the truck manifold? Are you carbureting it? Are you turbocharging it? Is it fuel injected? I guess I need to know that before I give you any advice on the. Oh, he said carb. Okay, it says carb. Okay. Probably just get a fuel pump and then get a low pressure regulator. Like, you got to run like 6 psi on the carb setup. So probably don't need anything crazy as far as big fuel pumps, I would imagine. But what's going on, New York? I see you in the building. Yeah, but you probably just want to get like a fuel pump. The Holly Blue is good. I guess it's a inline fuel pump. And then just get you a regulator for like 6 psi, I would say. And then as far as like filters, get you a filter in between there and run it. Anybody else have any suggestions, feel free to put them in the comment section. But that's probably what I would do. I've gotten a carburetor LS swap to run on a stand with very little fuel system setup. I mean, it wasn't running for like a daily driver, but it's just got to get gas and it needs to be at a low psi. Just make sure you regulate it and it's filtered, and the carburetor will do everything else. But that's pretty much my experience with carburetors in general. It pretty much works the same, across the board. The only difference is you got coil on plug on the LS, whereas on like a 305 you got, just one coil, distributor, and a spark plugs that way. So that's really it, man. Not a whole bunch of difference. It's a little bit smarter, you can adjust the timing with the MSD box instead of a distributor. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility as far as that is concerned. But yeah, man, if you got any more questions, let me know. I mean, I'll try to make videos or whatever to answer those questions. But as far as the carburetor goes, as long as the carburetor, it's working the right way, you just got to get gas to it and make sure your timing is good and you're fine. Oh, so I said I was going to give you guys an update on the Regal. So pretty much this all kind of ties in together. I got to put my intake air temperature sensor into my charge pipe. And I know it's like, dang, you could just pay someone to weld that in. It wouldn't have been that much. I really want to do it myself. I eventually want to weld all my charge pipes together and take out most of the couplings. I want to weld in my wastegate. Not my wastegate, but my dang on blow-off valve. And just take out a lot of the opportunities for it to leak. You know what I'm saying? So that was the big reason and why I decided to go to an AC/DC TIG welder instead of just using my DC TIG welder. The DC TIG welder worked perfect for welding stainless. I did my stainless welding with it, and it was a great value. I mean, if you guys go look at some of my older videos, back when I bought it, I think it was right after COVID. That's how long I've been working on this car. I've been working on this car for a while, but that TIG welder, I mean, it sat in a box for a long time too. But that TIG welder was like $180. And it was, a TIG welder. And, the most expensive part of my TIG setup was the argon, the cylinder of argon at that point. That was the most expensive part of the TIG setup. The filler wasn't that expensive. I mean, you have to get stainless filler. And if you go to any welding shop, they'll kind of guide you on what you need if they're competent, salespeople or whatever. The material, the pipes, I got them on eBay, stainless pipe. You can get the raw or you can get the polish finish. If you're going to do this welding and stuff, I'd probably just get the raw finish. so that way it's easier to weld and you don't have all that, you know, other stuff on there. It probably doesn't make too much of a difference, but I just figured the raw stuff would probably be easier to weld. But yeah, man, the next thing I got to do, like I said, is I got to put the line from the turbo housing to the wastegate, and then I'm going to set up that vacuum manifold. Like I said, it's not a real expensive one. It was, I don't even know if I showed it to you guys. I know I showed you guys the vacuum block. I don't know if I showed you guys the other boost controller that I was thinking of. Well, I did order both of them. I ordered both of them just in case this one didn't get here soon. I ordered this really inexpensive one that was on eBay. I mean, on Amazon, it was $10. I don't have a lot of experience with boost controllers, so I didn't know which one looked better. They're both like $20 and $10, so I'm like, well, neither one of these prices scream quality, but I've had good stuff come for cheap prices, for low prices before, so sorry if that didn't make sense. I'm trying to think about 10 different things at one time. Give me 1 second. Where is it at? Where is the real basic one? Yeah. Actually, the real basic looking one is the more expensive one. This one looks a little bit more upscale, but it's only $9.98. Okay, I see the comment section starting to pop out. Where's my Regal? Oh man, we getting it done, man. That's what we doing right now. Mr. Craig, I see you in the building. Thanks, bro. My motor is done and built, makes 500 horsepower. Awesome. Heck yeah. Carbureted car making 500 horsepower, 6 liter. What cam you got in there? He said, I'm coming to get my Regal. I might have one for you soon, man. Everybody like them Regals, though. I'm going to show y'all this other manual boost controller real quick. Alright, so this is the other manual boost controller right here. This one was $10. The reviews were a little bit sketchier, but it's supposed to be here by Friday. The other one, that other one, let me see if I can get it to pop up. This other one right here, it's actually, it looks like it's probably made here in America, and it's going to take a couple more days, which I'm fine with. You know, this is American made, American engineered. It doesn't look too sophisticated, but it was like double the price, but the reviews were a lot better. 9 times out of 10, to be honest with you guys, I'm going to end up taking this guy back or sending it back. You know, if it doesn't work out, but I did want to open it up and look at it. That's the cool thing about Amazon, guys, man. The return policy is pretty flexible. You know, if you look down here in the corner, eligible for return, refund, or replacement within 30 days of receipt. So, like, it's not a big deal if you order it and you need to send it back. A lot of times, soon as you tell them you want to send it back, they'll send you they'll come pick it up. You know what I'm saying? So, this is a little bit more shiny. Like, this is a little bit more like it looks a little bit cooler under the engine bay, but for some reason, this guy right here just looks like it's more dependable and more straight to the point, like more robust. You know, it's brass fittings, you know, a bolt, spring, and a nut. The other stuff, it's aluminum, and, you know, someone probably had to tap the aluminum, and there's an opportunity for it to be wrong, you know what I mean, or stripped out. This is tried and true. So I'm more excited about this version. Plus, it's American made. You know, when I get an opportunity for a good price to buy something American made, I'm going to go with that. So And then, of course, this is the welder, guys. This is the welder I ended up going with. Like I said, they got the $140 coupon off of it. So it starts off at $6.99. It was $9.99 before. It was $9.99. But right now, you can get the $140 off when you check out. It ends up being like $5.59. So if y'all thinking about one, this is on sale right now. Like I said, link is in the description. And yeah, so the difference between this TIG welder, that's $279, and this one is basically the ability to weld TIG weld aluminum. I know we were watching Mr. Random weld last night, and he was like, "Hey, I got it on the negative. Is it AC or DC still?" And I'm like, "No, it's still DC. It's just DC negative." And then you got the DC positive. What you really need for aluminum is you need AC. And really, the crazy thing about it is, Mr. Random was the one that put me on to the Yes Welders in his video. We was talking about it in his video. So I started doing more research, and then I seen they popped up online for sale. On sale. You do a couple jobs welding some stuff for some guys, man, you'll make this money back. I know people don't really want to do work for other guys and stuff like that, but you do a couple of things, you weld in a intake air temperature sensor, weld in a blow-off valve, $100 here, $50 there. Before you know it, you've got that money back, and you've done your own work. So, looks like they might have some used too. Oh, see, back in the day, they was $849. They're still $849 on some websites. Some people are still trying to sell it for that price right now. That's what I'm saying. I think they was $9.99. There was a video I was watching earlier, and a guy was like, "Man, this is a great deal at $6.99." No, at $7 something. He was like, "This is a great deal at $7.49." And I'm like, wait a minute. Am I looking at the same machine? And yeah, sure enough, I was looking at the same machine, and it's down to $6.99. So don't sleep on it, guys. These sales, a couple years ago, it was down to $4.99. They fluctuate, but that was years ago. I was doing some research on it, so I was looking at, posts in the welding groups and stuff, and people was like, "Hey, I paid this on Black Friday, whatever, years ago." But now, this is what it is, man. We just living in a different time now. Everything is expensive. But if you're not trying to mess with aluminum, this guy right here will do fine. And I had one that was even less expensive than that. That did, stainless. It was like $189. So there's options, there's affordable options, but this was the least expensive, decent one with a foot pedal and everything that I could find. Hold on real quick, Craig, hold on one second. Let me pull this thing off the screen here. Pull this off the screen. All right, so let me see here. Yeah, Mr. Random was doing some welding last night. I was in that live. Shoot. Okay, we got a link. That is the welder that Mr. Random got. Hold on, let me open the link up, and we can look at it together. Good afternoon, badass. I see you in the building. Nicholas says, I know forged pistons, LS3 heads, Victor high rise, intake, believe stock crank and rods. Okay, so I'm guessing you probably have like high compression pistons on an all motor build. That's how you were able to achieve the extra power, and maybe a cam too. If you did pistons, I'm sure they probably put a cam in there, I would assume. I see we have the heavy hitters in today. Yeah, we in here, buddy. We in here. He is not up to speed with welding. He got it going with a spool and the MIG. Yeah, spool. Yeah, that's another way to do aluminum. You can get a spool gun. Yeah, that is the other option. So I'm not an expert on welding, but just from the research I was doing, yeah, spool gun you can do aluminum, but it's a little different. Uh, a lot of the guys were recommending to do a TIG, but like people was like, yeah, I had this. I went and bought a spool gun. I wish I would have saved my money and bought a TIG welder. By the time you look at it, a spool gun is pretty expensive. They're not cheap. You halfway there on a decent, on a affordable AC DC TIG welder. I've welded like 12 inches of weld in my life. Still waiting on the project that requires me to learn. Okay, still, yeah, man. Shoot, I had to get down with the welding last year on that turbo hot side, and it had me intimidated for a long time, man. Welding in general. The first time I welded was getting bolts out of the heads on my like LS donor engines. You know what I mean? The bolts be all broken off, and guys was like, just weld a nut to it. And I was like, man, that's scary. Like I gotta weld something. And then that was the first step. Like, okay, I had bought a Harbor Freight welder, the titanium 140. I ended up selling it, got my money back off of that. But it was just a flux core, and it worked perfect for that. I was like, cool. And then I sold that and bought the TIG welder that I have now. And now I'm like, okay, I did the stainless. Now I want to advance to the aluminum, and I'm about to sell my old TIG welder. So, I mean, a lot of times you can get your money back, if you graduate to different pieces of equipment. But just doing the work alone, a lot of times you get your money's worth. If I would have paid someone to, took my heads down to a machine shop to get those bolts out, I don't know what they would have charged me. Probably $75 for an hour of labor or half an hour. Who knows? But at today's rate, shop labor is like $80 an hour. The welder was like $150, and then I used it for several cylinder heads. So it ends up paying off if you use it over and over. I have a 20-year-old Harbor Freight MIG welder. It has served for the little bit I needed so far. Yeah, and those will get the job done. Craig said, grinders make us good welders. All welders will tell you that. Yeah, man, a grinder will make you look real good. Yes, there's a cam in there. Don't know the specs. Somebody at the time had all the paperwork, but things went south and I didn't get the paperwork. I have looked at the paper before. Okay. Well, hey, it runs and makes 500 horsepower. That's really the ultimate end game, right? You got the big power, and according to Richard, any cam's a turbo cam, so you can always boost it or whatever. Okay, so I'm pulling up Mr. Random's welder. So this is the welder Mr. Random has. This is a MIG, TIG, and stick arc 3-in-1 combo. Very common welders right here. Not particularly this brand, but these inverter style welders. The one I'm looking at is also an inverter style. Let me pull it up. Window capture. Boom. All right, so yeah, this is pretty much like the one I had before. And even this one has gotten more expensive. All these have gotten more expensive. But yeah, this will do stainless, mild steel, it'll do gas, flux core, pretty much everything you need it to do besides aluminum. This will get the job done. This is a great, I haven't personally used this machine, but if it's like any of the other like import welders, if it's like any of those welders, it'll be fine. These little guys, these little suitcase welders are great, and they're not expensive. Like like the one I was showing you guys, the only reason it's expensive is because it has the AC and DC function. But this right here will do pretty much everything else besides aluminum. And if you want to do aluminum, you just got to use a spool gun, which by the time you buy the spool gun, you're at the price of getting one that has the capabilities of doing aluminum with the TIG. So But yeah, this is not a bad option for a lot of people. This is not a bad option. I just so happened to found out I'm gonna be doing a little bit more aluminum welding, and instead of trying to what is it called, dodge the bullet and finesse and stuff like that, and try to put my air intake temperature sensor somewhere else or use a whole bunch of couplings, I decided I'm gonna weld this stuff in. Let me pull up these comments. Trying to get used to using OBS. It had the comments popped up before, and then I closed them somehow, and it said if you go to the menu you can pop them back out, but I don't even know how to find the menu. So stream, window properties, let's see. Anyone that's ever done OBS, feel free to chime in the comments if you know how to make the comments pop out so I can look at the stream and the comments at the same time. Also notice that when I use OBS, my anxiety is way higher. Like StreamYard, it's just a little bit more comforting. It's just like more laid back. I can invite people on. It's more beginner user friendly. I feel like StreamYard is very user friendly. OBS gives you more options and you can do more stuff as far as like bringing videos in, and hell, even you can do that on StreamYard now, but OBS is just a little bit more powerful. I'll put it that way. But StreamYard is no joke either. Infamous in the building. Carburetor gang. Hey, exactly, Jeremiah. Say my builder put a secret sauce cam in it. I don't know the exact specs. And it's running hard with the carburetor. And like I told you guys before, man, I haven't seen an LS carbureted car that didn't run good. And I mean, I'm sure there are some that don't. But I personally, even my buddy that I met at Jegs a long time ago, the video in the Nova, he had a Nova. He had a carburetor on his when I first met him, and that thing was running. And I was still fighting, gremlins on my LS build. Nothing wrong with fuel injection, but I'm just saying, these guys that have the carbs, they have cars that run hard. I'm sure they got adjustments they have to make, but it's off of feel and not off of graphs and stuff like that. We are talking welding, Mr. Nova. How you like that LS3? Yeah, OBS is a whole level of its own. It is, man. One of my customers put his IAT in the intake tube by getting a brass fitting that the sensor fit into, then putting that fitting inside the tube and threading the sensor from one outside, then JB weld. Okay. Yep, that's an option. Yep. It didn't look bad from the outside and seemed to seal. Yeah, I've seen some guys actually just tap it right into the intake, and that's actually what I did on the I did that on the Jeep. And, it was a truck intake, and it already had the hole up top for the I think it's the EGR or whatever. We don't use it on most of our LS swaps, but there's like a little solenoid up there, and I was able to put his intake air temperature sensor right there. Only difference is, since I'm running an LS6 intake, I didn't really want to drill into it just in case later on I want to sell it and go to something different. I didn't want to have that hole there. But yeah, that's an option. You can do that. Yeah, that's a real good option. Definitely a real good option. People, JB Weld is a strong, good product. LSCR Nation Discord is nonstop. Carburetor versus E. Yeah, speaking of Discord, guys, that's a way to reach out to us. My Discord link should be in the description as well. If you guys ever want to reach out to me, have any questions or anything like that, the Discord is a great way to do that, and the link is in the description. Always an easy way to reach out. And then a lot of the guys you see in this chat are in the Discord too. I mean, and they'll chime in if you got, questions and stuff like that. It's a real good way to, network and build a community. So, yeah, shout out to Discord. But yeah, guys, that's the update for today. The Jeep, I've been putting in some work on the Jeep. I know you guys may or may not have watched my last video or my last live stream, but I got the radiator mounted. I got to get some 90s from the radiator hose to the water pump. I got to put a couple 90s on there. What else am I waiting on? I got a bracket that I'm getting ready to put in for the shifter linkage so we can use the stock shifter. I got it from Novak. That should be here probably this weekend or Monday. And then, what else? All this stuff will come out in videos. I'm trying to record more too. I think that's it as far as the Jeep. We gotta get a radiator fan, and then I gotta get a belt, and then I bought some wire loom. We ordered some wire loom for the Jeep so we can, pull back the wires, tighten them up, clean it up. We got the mesh wire loom. I like the mesh wire loom. It looks real good. There's nothing wrong with the plastic wire loom, but that mesh wire loom, once I started seeing that in the engine bay, I was like, man, this is a whole nother look. It looks like braided stainless wire. You know what I mean? It looks really nice. So hopefully we can wrap up on that project real soon. What I'll end up doing is getting it to the point where it runs and drive. Well, it starts and it shifts in the gear. He's going to take it at that point to go get a drive shaft. He's going to tow it up to the drive shaft shop and let them measure it. And they're going to go ahead and probably build it that same day. And then they'll probably install the drive shaft at the drive shaft shop. But other than that, it's when I get done with it, it should be ready to go. So, well, the Jeep guy was on vacation for a long time. He went to a couple different destinations. I think he was in Hawaii, Florida, Vegas, and right now, and I'll probably never do this again the way I did it, is when I get the parts, I'll have him pay me back right away, or he pays me right before I get the parts. And I really don't like fronting the money on the parts if I can help it. I want to, in the future, going forward, I want to have people just drop off the whole bag. All your parts or all the money for the parts up front, which is challenging because we don't always know everything we're going to buy, especially with this Jeep. There was a lot of unknowns because I had never built a Jeep. I didn't know which radiator I was going to use. I didn't know what shifter bracket I was going to use, what shifter linkage. I didn't know which headers I was going to use. There was a lot of unknowns when I got into that build, so I had to kind of find out as I was building it. And, had to notch different things to make, for the radiator, I had to notch out the front radiator support so the radiator would fit because you don't have much room up there. And yeah, nuts and bolts, had to bolt that. So little stuff like that, I'm like, hey, this is what it costs, but then I may not see them for 3 or 4 days. Well, then I may not be in the shop for the next 3 or 4 days after that. So it's before you know it, you got a week that passes by, and then you're like, it just ended up being like that. So between me and him, because there was times where I just wasn't in the garage. It ended up taking that long. So, but yeah, we're putting in time now, ordering parts. Amazon takes a day or two, when you're ordering stuff too. A lot of times I hit them up, like on say a Monday. I'll order that part after he comes and brings me the money, or I'll order it and say, hey, just pay me when you get the money, or pay me when I get the part. That was cool for a long time, but now that I'm trying to currently build my car, I can't just have like high balances on my credit card waiting for people to come pay me back. So going forward, I'm going to, hey, bring me all the parts with the build. If they don't work, I'm going to go get the part and I'm going to charge you 15% for the time. You know what I mean? It takes me to go get the part and research it or whatever. 15% markup on that part. Or just bring me all the money for the parts in my quote. Like when I give you a quote, just bring me all the money for the parts and half my labor up front. But yeah, it's real challenging, man. You don't know exactly what you might run into, and then you don't want to put yourself in a position where you've bought parts and then they say, I don't really need it back right away. It's like, well, dang, I didn't spent money on a $250 shifter, and you decided it's not that important right now, and you don't have it. So like these parts, they get expensive. They get expensive. And yeah, Craig, yeah, you hit the groups and you hit the, you on Facebook or whatever, you research it and different things, especially, yeah, you can go and reinvent the wheel and try to use your own creative intuition and stuff like that. But a lot of times you end up burning up money that way too. So hitting the groups and Facebook and the forums is a great way to find information, but it takes time. It takes time, and a lot of times we don't even account for that. We don't even account for that. Now, me doing a G-Body LS swap, I'm pretty familiar with the G-Body platform. I'm pretty familiar with putting an LS in a, G-Body. It's not going to be that challenging for me. I know that they got radiators that work. I know that they got fans that'll fit in there. I know what fans I usually use. I know what manifolds I usually use. I know what mounts I usually use. I know what shifter I'm going to use. I know where I'm going to get the drive shaft from. I know what transfer case is going to work. That's another thing, like the transfer case. With the Jeep, we use the factory GM transfer case, but now we're starting to understand that it might be too big because how long it is, you're not going to have that much room between the axle and the transfer case for like a drive shaft. It's going to be a really short drive shaft. So he may actually end up having to switch out to a Jeep transfer case and get an adapter, But when he brought it to me, he's like, hey, I just want to put everything in here from here to this. And that's what we did. But then after, searching and doing more research, I'm like, hey, a lot of the guys are using this other they're getting an adapter and using the Jeep transfer case because it's smaller, and they don't have to they have a little bit of a longer drive shaft that way. So we're not completely out of the woods on that, but that's going to be something that's we'll have to cross that bridge later. But yeah, we have a transfer case on there. We are using the we got a 480 transmission and the transfer case that was married to it when it came out of the factory. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of the guys, when I got into the groups, were like, oh, we use this adapter, basically like a bell housing adapter, but for transfer cases. We use this adapter and we use this smaller transfer case. Because you guys remember how long the GM transfer cases are. Well, the Jeep is not a very long vehicle. It's not a truck. So that's the issue, is like, you got a really long transfer case and transmission, and you got to put a drive shaft between that and the rear end. So, what's going on, Random? We was just talking about you, man. We was just talking about you. But yeah, Craig, that's the thing right there. The mating adapter. Exactly, exactly. The 4x4 conversions seem to be pretty ambitious with a lot of opportunity to get stuck either time or money wise. Yeah, we're trying to now that I mean I'm pretty much about I would say I'm about 75% done with the build, and I'm like, man, I need to do two more Jeeps just to like break even on the amount of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I got to make sure this one looks good so that way I can sell another Jeep build because I don't have a problem doing another Jeep build, but I got to use all this knowledge that I've acquired doing this one to like make up for all the time. Because the next one will only take, I'm not going to say it's going to be fast because I still got to chase down parts, still got to get specialty mounts, still got to get, like, unless you want to make your own mounts, which I don't. Still got to get, you know, the headers that'll fit, which now I know maybe we could have used manifolds, but I didn't know that going for the first time. But, and not the truck manifolds, I'm talking F-body manifolds. But next time should be at least half the amount of time. But I need to do 2 or 3 Jeeps just to make up for the time loss. You know? Yeah, so Craig, with them having the bolts molded into them, the cases, GM has holes in them. There's some kind of adapter that the guys use. I'm not sure which one it is because I honestly was like, you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Hopefully you don't have to go that route. But if you do, this is, you know, this is what we'll be looking at. But I didn't get into extreme detail. But yeah, Random, we was talking about welders. I know you was welding last night, and I don't know how far you guys got with the aluminum, but I was telling them that the Yes welder, which is the one you had recommended to me, we were talking about it in one of your lives, is on sale right now. And I did put the link in the description, but it's a AC and DC aluminum TIG welder. So if you want a TIG aluminum, it's a good option for you. This is honestly, this was the least expensive, decent aluminum TIG welder that I found. I put it to you guys like that. Foot pedal and all that. Still not cheap, you know what I mean? And it'll take a couple jobs to pay for itself, but this will get you all the way out the woods as far as doing aluminum, at least at our level, you know, the thickness we're working with. So I'll pull it back up. Let's see here. Boom. This is it right here. So $6.99 before the 140 ends up being like $5.59 or something like that. But you know, obviously good reviews. You know, you can stack some really nice welds. This is a 3-star review, but those are pulse welds. They don't look terrible, but you know, you can do this with the welder you have now with stainless, but we're talking about aluminum. But yeah, this will do aluminum and stainless, titanium as well. So but hell, I ain't trying to sell you the thing. I'm just telling you guys, if you want one, this one's on sale. And then of course you got to get the rod. I bought some rod. I'll be putting a video out, man. I'll be putting a video out when I use it. I got a couple pieces of aluminum that came with my intercooler setup, so I can, play around with some of them. They weren't very expensive. And you got pop cans. You can weld, aluminum. So I'm gonna mess around with it a little bit. The filler rod isn't much more expensive than like the stainless rod. It's $26. This is just the Amazon rod, aluminum. But let's see if they got anybody got any pictures or anything like that. And it's the small stuff, because we're taking with small stuff here. But and then of course, I don't know if you did the vacuum block on your build or not. This is the stuff that I just recently acquired for today. I ended up picking up a vacuum block so we can run our vacuum in one spot and not have a whole bunch of lines everywhere. This is what we decided to go with. Mixed reviews on this one. I'm not going to say it's the best one. It was one of the cheaper ones, and I kind of took a gamble on it. We'll see how it works out. It'll be here tomorrow, 1-day shipping. If not, we'll send it back to Amazon. That's the cool thing about dealing with these guys, man, is you can send it back to them tomorrow. The same day, you can send it right back and get your money back. So this is the dang on thing right here. Let me see something real quick. Out here in California, we don't got pop cans, we got soda cans. Yeah. That's right. Soda cans. Yeah, it's pop out here in the Midwest, man. It's pop. That's what we call it. Call it pop. It's pop. And I think down south they call it Coke. Everything's Coke. I don't know where they say that at. Is that down south? They call it Coke. Let me get a can of Coke. Everything's Coke. Up here it's pop. Straight up. It's pop. Pop cans. Pop cans. Yeah, the vacuum brick, man. I actually watched a video. It was a Honda guy. Shout out to Honda. We like Hondas too. Yeah, it was a Honda guy. Now his was like a Golden Eagle. His was like a Golden Eagle brand, which is a really nice brand probably. Probably sells it at his store. But he was like, man, this is a clean way to run your vacuum. He was like, this is a clean way. This is how you should do it. Get you a vacuum block. And I had never thought of doing this before. I was just like, oh, I'm going to tee it. I'm going to tee that. I'm going to tee this. He's like, if I don't have to tee it. This is really just a big tee anyways. But all in one spot. You know what I mean? And we can run them all in one spot. There is a really bad review right here. Also, they were saying that there was like shavings in here. So just make sure you look at it real carefully. With it being aluminum and they had to thread it and all that stuff. Just be mindful. It's a cheap part. This is not a very expensive product. Probably cheaper on the manufacturing. But outside of that, everyone else had really good reviews. But just like those fuel pressure regulators, I could have drilled it and made that hole bigger and set that ball in there. I sent it back to Amazon. Got my money back. I ended up going with the Aeromotive. But yeah, I probably could have made that one work. But I was just, at that point, I was already so frustrated. I was like, man, it took 3 or 4 days for me to get this stuff situated. I'm going with the Aeromotive, and I haven't looked back. My car starts up right away now. So, but yeah, look out for that kind of stuff. metal shavings and stuff like that. But just get in there with a file. You got a little file. Get inside of there, not in the threads, but in the bigger holes. Just make sure there's no burrs in there. Deburr it. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. And there's plenty of options. There was one Vibram, I think, makes. It was real nice, but it didn't have any of the fittings. It didn't come with any of the fittings, so the fittings were like an extra $8. And I was like, well, I'm gonna get this one. It already has the fittings with it. Yep. Sprizzle? Who says Sprizzle? Oh, man. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all coming through. I didn't plan on staying on here for an hour, but it looks like it's been about an hour. I got to get going. Got some other stuff I got to get busy on. I will catch you guys later. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. Link is in the description. We all pretty much... We're in the Discords. We're in LS Chevy Riders Discord. We're in my Discord. It's a great way to get in contact with the people in this chat if you got any questions, or get in contact with me if you don't want to use Facebook or Instagram. It's a great option for that. So, but until next time, man, y'all have a good one. Be safe, and I'll see y'all later.